Relationship series with myself, Roxy, and Miss Kari. To
Hello.
my left, I don't know if the camera's flipped. Maybe it's to my
I
right.
know. I don't know what it's going to look like for everyone else.
Hopefully, you guys have been finding value in the advice that we have been offering in this relationship series. And it's been really fun to hear questions from you guys because relationships are hard. Relationships are really hard, and there's like no one size fits all method for how to navigate relationships. So any kind of like general tips that we can give you guys, we're happy to do that here. And if you guys need more individualized support, please feel free to reach out to either of us. But today we want to talk about how to have difficult conversations. This is a common thing that I think comes up a lot in our relationships because there's conflict in life and there's conflicts in relationships, and it can be really difficult to navigate that. And Kari and I have both come across people in our coaching sessions who try to talk about things and they tend to escalate. So we want to give you guys some tools on how to fight there.
Yeah.
So Kari, I'll let you start and I'll just kind of jump in if that feels good.
Yeah. So when you have something, and there's inevitably going to be things that you need to discuss and work through, like we're never going to stay in a spot of everything's good, right? We're constantly evolving. We're constantly noticing things, learning things, and maybe wanting things to be different, or things coming up that we don't love in our partner or behavior or whatever. And we want to address it so that we can smooth it out. So some of the things that I learned personally, and then also some of this is from John Gottman, who is renowned marriage therapist and researcher, is choose your timing wisely. The worst time to really get into conflict is when things are already emotionally charged. It's already a tense situation. That's not the time to bring up something that you've been wanting to talk about. That will not go well ever. And we have learned to make sure that we're choosing the time that we want to talk about things in a way at a time where everyone's feeling okay. And the solid tip is to ask your partner if is now a good time. Could we talk about something right now that could be a little tricky, could be a little emotionally charged, whatever, but would now be an okay time to talk about that? And you may have probably, hopefully, chosen a time that you think is good, but you don't know what they have going on. So really pay attention to the context in which you are ready to broach this conversation. Okay. Asking, is it okay? And I do the same thing with coaching. When somebody's venting and telling me something, and we're not in a specific coaching scenario, I will say, do you want to be coached on that? Because sometimes people don't, and it's not a good time, right? And they don't welcome the input. So it's super important to make sure that our partner is in a place where they can receive it, listen, you're able to share it with love, and not have your partner get in a space of getting defensive, because the defensive space that's always messy, right? They always are going to shoot down what's coming at them in order to not feel terrible about what it is that you're saying. So ask if now is an okay time, and then respect their response to that. You have any thoughts?
And I feel like this shows up a lot when you and your partner or whoever, whatever relationship we're talking about here, if you tend to get into a fight and then you're bringing up stuff from the past, or they're bringing up stuff from the past, and it all just kind of builds, right? It's like, oh yeah, well, what about this? Oh, well, there's this one time that you did that. If you're noticing that's like a common trend in your conflicts, this is a really valuable tool for you. This is usually a huge flag of the fact that there's a lot of resentment that has built up because there are conflicts that haven't been successfully addressed up to this point, and they're starting to build. So that tension can be really difficult to overcome. So yes, suggesting a time that you and your partner are both open to having a productive conversation. To that point, depending on how conversations have gone up to this point, your partner may come to you with like, oh, is that what we're going to do now? We're going to fight. So like, not that you want to ruin a bad moment. Like Kari said, we're wanting to come at this from a space of love. We love each other. We're on the same team. we want the same thing. Let's work together to figure this out because our relationship is important to me.
Yeah.
Point blank period. When they're ready to receive, move
Yeah.
forward from there.
And I think that those things that you said right there can be said out loud and prefacing what it is that you want to talk about. And you can go into this with love, gratitude. I really appreciate that, blah, blah, blah. Going in and like greasing the skids, laying
Yeah.
down this soft foundation and this gentleness and this creating an atmosphere or a container of love and appreciation. And I want to work through this with you. Is this an okay time to talk about this kind of thing? Right. So
Absolutely.
express those things at the beginning. This is because this matters to me. This relationship matters to me, that I feel like I really am wanting an opportunity to talk about this so we can move through it. And I'm not feeling holding on to this and trying to figure it out myself when it really requires both of us to move through it. Kind of thing.
100%. And I think it's important to speak to intention, right? I think the thing that causes so many of us to get defensive is if we feel like our intentions are being questioned. So it's really easy, I think, in a relationship once you've kind of taken that step back and said, okay, I know that this isn't what they're meaning to do. I see maybe this was their intention the whole time, but I'm having feelings about this, and try to separate what's yours and what's theirs, but also advocate for the communication style that you might need to feel supported and nurtured in the relationship, and vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm having a bit of a little.
You okay? You need to drink.
I'm recovering. And so I just have this like rawness in my throat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Anyway. Okay. It's all good. Okay. The other thing that's super important, and this is not probably the first time you're hearing it, but let me just reinforce this because this makes all the difference in one of these conversations, is to go in with, I feel disappointed. I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling, okay. And phrasing it really intentionally, letting your partner know how you feel about the scenario, because they can't disagree with your feelings. At least, hopefully, you're past that. Hopefully, you're past, well, you shouldn't feel like that. Okay. That's not constructive. So if you're that person in a partnership, that's not constructive. So we need to validate that however somebody is feeling is valid. And what can we do? We can open the lens, change the lens of how they're seeing it. So maybe it's okay to explain, oh, I'm sorry that you're feeling like that. Here's my side of that. That's an okay thing to do, but don't invalidate how somebody feels. That's a disaster. Don't do that. Right? So
yeah, I mean, I think in any relationship, it's not a competition to see who can be understood more, right? Like in a relationship, it's supposed to be reciprocal. You guys are both wanting to be curious about where the other person is coming from. And if you're finding it anytime that isn't happening, there's probably some heightened emotions going on that it might be great to ask for a break and to come back for it. I think that that's a tool that not enough of us use as often as we would benefit from.
Yeah, that's true. We rarely ask for a break. We really usually hash it out. So I think that's a super awesome tidbit.
And it's a skill like to actually go back to it. Because I know a lot of people are like, let's take a break, and then they never come back to it. And then next time the conflict occurs, it's like at an 11 instead of the 6 it was at before. So if you do take a break, it is really important to intentionally come back to that, and communicate that to the other person. But yeah, if it's getting too hard, just ask for a break. And when you learn to honor that within another, it's crazy impactful.
Well, and I think you can come back then, and I know that I would have sat with what I heard and what was brought up, and I'm going to have additional well-formed thoughts coming back. And I think there's also a piece of then, okay, what part of this do I own? And I think that can be really beneficial too when you're communicating, is communicate. If you're coming with something that you want changed or different, or you're feeling a certain way, also validating the other person in saying something along the lines of, I know I can see now as I'm talking about this, I can see what my part in this is. So I want you to know that I see that it's not just you, that this is a thing for us to work on, and I can see what, and then own what is your part of the dynamic.
And I think if you lead with that, it will immediately soften the other person. The other person will immediately soften to see, oh, she's asking for my help,
Yeah.
instead of blaming me, she's
Right.
asking for my help, which is the root of every conflict. We're asking for help. But if we go in like this, nobody hears that.
Mm-hmm. And they get defensive because they probably, if you go back to one of the NLP concepts of everybody's doing the best they can with what they have, right? They're probably doing the best they can. They just don't know. And so helping them along the path of, here's what I need. And when we can more effective, more, I don't know what the right word is, but when we can communicate what it is that we need, that's super helpful. And that can be a really hard thing to do. And I remember early in our marriage feeling like, well, I don't want to have to tell you what I need. I want you to just want to do it because you love me. Like, it takes away the specialness if I tell you what I need you to do. And I can see the immaturity in that now, 30 years later. But it was definitely a place that was definitely a thing that came up for us over and over again until we got better at communicating. And I could start to ask for, this is what I need, and understanding that people communicate differently and they're coming from different backgrounds of what has been modeled for them. And so that's what they're coming in with, male or female. And then learning how to navigate this, learning how to have conflict, learning how to have conversations without feeling hurt or feeling like you have to be defensive, but just, this is us on this journey together. And I could have
In
used,
support of one another.
yeah,
Yes.
I could have used all this advice 30
Yeah.
years ago.
And I feel like we could go down like a whole rabbit hole of love languages. I won't do that during today's video. But I think it's really important to understand what your love language is and your partner's love language, because oftentimes we communicate through our own love language when that may not be how the other person in the relationship receives it. So there's so much value in recognizing the try, appreciating the try and the effort that is being put forward, and also advocating for what you need and how you feel. Like it's got to be a little bit more give and take, but it's a process. It's not something that's learned overnight. It takes practice. It takes check-ins. It takes continued effort, because that changes throughout the relationship.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. Any other thoughts? Any other things you want to bring up along this line?
I don't think so. I think just keep on keeping on. Don't give up. Continue to come from a place of love, and really make the focus on you. And when you're asking for support of you, people who love you in a relationship are going to show up. We can't expect anyone else to change, only ourselves. And so know what you need, advocate for what you want, and do it with love and kindness.
Yep. Okay. Look for those opportunities where you can have constructive conversations that everyone will leave feeling better and not worse.
Yes.
That's the goal. And achieving something together is really, really beneficial for the long road, the long haul. So,
yeah.
Okay. Well, if you guys have questions, leave them for us in the comments, or you can messenger us. If you're finding us on YouTube, we have a Facebook group that is My Mind and Body Collective. If you're seeing this in the group, we love you. We appreciate you. Send us questions if you have them. And we are on a week where Women's Circle is tomorrow, and it's the last one before the first of the year, because we head into the holidays where we have Thanksgiving, Christmas. So October is our last one of the year. So if you would like to come, connect, be supported by the other women there, get a feel for what the collective is like, sign up, look for a post that has a link if one of us has time, we'll drop the link in this. Sign up, come. It's 7:00. There's no charge. We would love to have you come participate. It is a limited seating kind of thing, so we do need you to reserve and sign up and save a seat for yourself. Okay? All right.
Yes.
See you
Hope to
guys
see you guys
next
there.
week.
Bye.
Okay.